Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Jonathan Gruber, a name the establishment wishes we'd all forget. It's only been, a week and a half or so since the first video of Gruber. Now there's like 8 of them. Since the first video of Gruber, they're advising staff at his MIT alma mater on how they deceive the American people, their enemy, and giggling and smirking about the enjoyment and how easy we are to feed on because we're so stupid. Yes. Like the Wicked Witch of the East. Now a video comes out of Obama praising him, saying that he literally, people are sick of me using the term literally. Well, Obama says, I literally, no figure of speech, stole the Obamacare plan from Herr Gruber. Now, that was a couple years ago. That too on C-SPAN. In the last 2 days, Obama came out and said he doesn't really know Gruber. He's a nobody, not part of his staff. When he met at the White House now, at least 15 times. First it was 10 times, then 12 times. 15 times with the president. And he brags about how they came up with the lies together. In fact, guys, there's so many clips. I know it gets confusing. Let's get the clip of Romney praising him to show how it's bipartisan tyranny and why the Republican leadership doesn't want to get rid of it. And then I want to show the Gruber clip where he brags that he met behind closed doors with Obama, and that Obama said, well, I can't let him know it's going to cost all this money. And he said, don't worry, here's how you do it. And so then they learned how to hide it from people. He's bragging about, my lie got picked. I'm the best liar. You realize I'm so smart. I got paid $400,000 to come up with this scam. One part of the larger latrine of lies. So we have that cesspool going on. And then you've got Gruber being thrown over the bus by Obama. It's a Rosetta Stone. It's a skeleton key. There are stories every day that do this, but this one is so illustrative of the dishonorable rat-like behavior of these people. It is truly mind-blowing, mind-boggling that they're doing it in front of everyone. Because, hey, look, just because roughly half the public can't find their butt with both hands, doesn't know their head from a hole in the ground, doesn't know the 3 branches of government, doesn't know who their daddy is or their mommy is, and doesn't care, do you realize that of the other 50%, about 30% are somewhat awake and are starting to wake up more? Maybe 15% of that number are really awake, and then we're waking up the other 20, 30% that are somewhat awake. It only takes 5% to bring a criminal group down. You guys are a few thousand globalists running this scam, and we've got, let's be conservative, 50 million super awake, 150 million somewhat awake. I've studied history, scum. And I've studied how you guys always think you're invincible, and corrupt elites. I don't care if it's in China or the Middle East or Rome or Europe or Asia or Latin America. It's the same story. Africa. You guys always think you're invincible, and you always go too far. Like Wile E. Coyote runs out on that cliff and looks, and you know what? He's not standing on a cliff anymore. He's 20 feet out over a chasm. And you guys don't have a parachute. I know you got nuclear weapons and stuff, and hey, you'll probably end up causing a nuclear war to keep your power and kill everybody. I understand that. But maybe we can stop you from destroying humanity. Just maybe, scum. I'm your host, Alex Jones, coming to you from deep in the heart of Texas, Austin, broadcasting worldwide. The news websites are prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at RealAlexJones, and we have a bunch of excellent Facebook pages as well. Where to start, where to begin? FBI says Ferguson decision will likely lead to violence. State of emergency, of course, was declared yesterday afternoon by the governor. Protester has car stolen during the F the Police rally. So the criminals are using the demonstrations as cover. University issues students tips on demonstrating. CNN and MSNBC are really telling a one-sided story, trying to incite people. I was watching it last night and this morning, and I just report what I see. I mean, I really am into not having a bias. In fact, I get accused of bashing the police a lot. Only when we see them execute somebody in cold blood, like in Albuquerque, where the homeless guy's unarmed, and they kill him and laugh at him, let the dog chew his dead body, and then the squad car video is released 20 minutes before with the cop who'd been kicked off the state police saying, I'm going to kill this effer. I'm going to shoot him right in the testicles. And the other cops are like, really? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to kill him. Just want to just kill some homeless guy? You need to be in a mental institution. Not with a badge and a gun. And the police have shot our reporters with rubber bullets, and they've done stuff that's wrong. But the criminal gangs trying to organize rioting nationwide, if this cop isn't indicted, it's just an excuse to carry out criminal activity. And the feds are in there provocateuring it behind the scenes. That is, the Justice Department is. And then the government will get more power to federalize out of this crisis. Darren Wilson supporters pay for hashtag pants up, don't loot. Billboard. 4 killed in Jerusalem, synagogue attack, gun controls eased for self-defense, Palestinians celebrate in streets. Yeah, the answer is arm yourselves. And Israel's been bringing in more gun control in the last few years. That's now being attacked. The answer is obviously for people to be armed. And then they can protect themselves from someone wielding a butcher knife, killing 4. What's the answer? Ban butcher knives? England's actually talking about it. That's some of the stories on drudgereport.com. We have some of the same stories on Infowars.com. In fact, here's one of the headlines that ties into Ferguson. St. Louis cop says, and there's video, get a gun, we can't protect you. Paul Watson has a video breaking that down. Race war in Ferguson despite outcome on Darren Wilson. Protest organizers emphasize racial character of anticipated protest and threat posed to white people. Yeah, there's a lot of calls, and now racial attacks are intensifying. I have a stack of news of whites being attacked because they're, quote, white. This is just ridiculous. It'll create more division and more racism. And will swell the ranks of the Klan. I mean, it's what the feds want. A prison economy where we're all divided like a giant prison. Woman receives beating because she's a, quote, white girl in the hood. We have that report. Anonymous has leaked a map of federal perimeter around Ferguson. We have the audio. Missouri governor goes silent when asked who's in charge in Ferguson. That's some really big, important news up on Infowars.com. Only a small fraction of it. One of the other articles is offshore foreign banks vow to fight Republican efforts to repeal Obamacare. And that is out of the Washington Examiner. Tens of billions of dollars. In fact, last time I checked, it was over $12 billion they were reporting, just spent by lobbying groups, not just by unions and others, to get the Affordable Care Act, what an Orwellian name, passed. And that's what I'm going to shift gears into now. Then into huge news on the Russia front, and I mean huge news. Insurers will strenuously resist Republican efforts to dismantle Obamacare. Well, that's why bipartisanly, all the blue blood, rhino, neocon, anti-gun, pro-global warming Republicans helped write Obamacare. Now, granted, people like Emanuel and people like Gruber, Jonathan Gruber, Ezekiel Emanuel, they added layers of filthy icing to it. The Massachusetts plan was a royal screw job written up by Romney and the insurance companies. But compared to what the Republicans brought forward, the Democrats added heaping helpings of evil. And because The Republicans want to play ball, and their big donors are large foreign banks and insurance companies, most of them foreign. Just want to point that out. Through their U.S. subsidiaries have taken us over. This is the biggest tax increase, hands down, even the CBO says, tax increase in U.S. history. And the government gets part of the money, and the insurance companies get the other. It creates more regulations where small insurance companies are shutting down. It is a monopolistic, oligopoly, insider, crony capitalist system at the top. At the bottom, it's death panels. It is ration care. It is government control of your records and your life. And they're just spreading your records everywhere, massive identity theft, total fraud, and it's all on purpose as a psyop to see what they can get away with. I mean, we got up here with medical doctors, scientists, medical managers, constitutional lawyers. We read the subsections of the bill, thousands of pages, and then they added more than 10,000 pages of writers. And we would read the subsection where they set up the death panels, the bioethics panels that would not give you care, and what they're already doing at the VA, and where they created 21 new taxes, 7 of them on people at or below the poverty line, payroll taxes, the list goes on and on. And it was clearly designed to wreck health care. And then Ezekiel Emanuel comes out on Fox and goes, yeah, it is. And then Bill Gates comes out and says, yeah, it is a death panel. We have those clips. We played them probably 50 to 100 times a piece. I don't know. It's more than 50 times. Should I play them again? And the response was, the libertarians and real conservatives out there, WorldNet Daily, Drudge Report, InfoWars, are racist. They're liars. It isn't in the bill. And Rachel Maddow and all these people would shake their fingers at the camera and say, it's racist. That Watson guy on MSNBC called me racist. All of them. CNN. It's a lie. They don't want you to have free health care. It's part of the racism. Well, no, we were reading the subsections on air. And then now Jonathan Gruber comes out in 8 different clips, there now are, and says, I met with the president behind closed doors. We had to come up with a way to hide the massive increases. We developed the plan. He picked my plan. Obama now in a new video that surfaced from C-SPAN years ago, told Gruber how great he is and how he literally took stuff for the plan from Gruber, as he says. Then Obama comes out and says, no, I didn't really know Gruber. I mean, he advised some, but wasn't part of the staff. And, I don't really know who he is, throwing him under the bus. And then we have Mitt Romney endorsing Gruber in 2006. Because remember, he helped come up with some of the earlier stuff. This is Massachusetts. This is MIT. Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So it's one filthy nest of foreign insurance companies and banks who wrote a plan where you pay tax money to them. So here's Romney praising Gruber at a 2006 Romney Care signing ceremony. If you want to vomit, here is that clip.
Let me mention as well the legislators and staff who worked with the president and the speaker. Names like Murray, Lees, Moore, Walrath, Mariano, and Hargraves may not be as familiar as ours sitting here on the very front row, but their work was every bit as dedicated and valuable. There were contributors from outside government, as you know. Jonathan Gruber at MIT devoted hours and hours to an essential econometric model. Jonathan Gruber at MIT.
Okay. Jonathan Gruber at MIT. Now, let's go to Gruber saying that he met with Obama to hatch the conspiracy. Here it is.
That's real cost control, that we know it'll work, go after this. Now, the problem is it's a political nightmare. And people say, no, you can't tax my benefits. It feels like. So what we did a lot in that room was think about, how could we make this work? And Obama's like, he's really a realistic guy. He's like, look, I can't just do this. He said, it's just not going to happen politically. The bill will not pass. How do we manage to get there through phase-ins and other things? And we talked about it. And he was just very interested in that topic. And once again, that ultimately became the genesis of what's called the Cadillac tax in the health care bill, which I think is...
All right, that's enough. Let's just move on from that. Now let's go to Obama a few years ago praising Jonathan Gruber and saying that he liberally or literally took it from him. And then we'll go to Obama saying he knows nothing and doesn't really know him. Here it is.
You've already drawn some of the brightest minds from academia and policy circles. Many of them I've stolen ideas from liberally. People ranging from Robert Gordon to Austin Goolsbee, John Gruber, my dear friend Jim Wallace here, who can talk, I think.
All right, that's enough. That's at the Brookings Institute, the president on C-SPAN. Now let's go to Obama a few days ago saying, oh, Gruber was just a side deal. He didn't really, who's he? Here it is.
Well, I wonder how you square that with your former advisor, Jonathan Gruber, claiming you were not transparent about the health law because, in his words, the American people, the voters, are stupid. Did you mislead Americans about the taxes, about keeping your plan, in order to get the bill passed?
No, I did not. I just heard about this. Yeah, I get well briefed before I come out here. The fact that some advisor who never worked on our staff.
Coming up today, we have Mr. Dent, the economist, joining us. Former member of Bain Capital, speaking of Mitt Romney. Harry Dent couldn't join us last week because his mother died. That's why he canceled the show. Very sad. He'll be joining us today. And then we are going to have our reporters pop in at 1:30 from Ferguson, where the governor's declared a state of emergency, and they're bracing basically for criminal groups, race-based groups, to use legitimate demonstrations. It's the First Amendment, so you have a legitimate right to do that. They're going to use that as cover to carry out criminal activity, and the feds are clearly letting the organization of this be set up on Facebook and Twitter so they get more funding. It's very shameful. Not blaming the average rank-and-file Fed out there, because you can't do that, but clearly the Justice Department's down there stirring it up. They got caught with the Trayvon Martin deal, and maybe that'll change now that Eric Holder's out of there, or soon to be out of there, but I doubt it, because that's all the establishment has is playing us off against each other, and it's truly a saddening situation. So we'll give you a breakdown on that as it unfolds. Our reporters will be there. Huge news. Putin says West is provoking Russia into new Cold War as spies deported. U.S. diplomats and others kicked out. This is a major escalation. That's coming up at the start of the next segment, and we'll open the phones up and take your calls. But getting back to Obama, if you just tuned in, so he played Gruber saying he met behind closed doors and helped come up with a deception with Obama on the increases, on, quote, taxing benefits. Well, see, they act like you're going to get free stuff in this world, and then they try to hide that it's going to cost money, but it's not even free stuff. It's a giant screw job to foreign insurance companies. True socialist health care has all its own nightmares. But in a few countries, it's administered okay. Not in England, not in Canada, certainly, but a few Northern European countries do a pretty good job because you pay high taxes, but you get pretty good health care. This isn't socialist health care. It's fascist screw job. It's worse than socialism. By the way, those Northern European countries do euthanize people, though, so they do have the death panels. So it's bad in that respect. It's just, this is as bad as it gets. Nothing this horrible has ever been invented. It's just a giant robbery system. And then Obama, goes out and praises Gruber as one of the architects on video, and then gets asked by a reporter at an event about it. We're going to play the whole clip that cut off by the break, so you can hear it in context. And he says, listen, this guy's not really one of our main advisors. Yes, he is. He came up with a whole bunch of it, and that's been written about for years. And Mitt Romney's praised him. And that's our problem, is that Boehner and Mitchell and others will act like they're going to repeal it now because of backlash, when for 2 years they've been saying we're not going to repeal it because they took money from the same interest for this, okay? So when you want to hate Obama, that's fine. What about John Boehner? What about Mitch McConnell? What about these Republican scumbags? I mean, look, if we can't repeal this whole thing and get some indictments, we're done. This is an outrageous takeover. My goodness, with them bragging how they're cheating us and scamming us. You want to live like they do at the VA, folks? And it's been bad for a while, but for the last 6, 7 years, they put them on secret death list. I don't care if you're 25 or 75. You don't get knee surgery. You don't get lung surgery. You don't get brain surgery that's operable, that's almost 100% operable. You get pills to go home, and the brain tumor grows or the lung cancer grows, and you die. And every few days, you see one of the reports on CNN? It's like, oh, the vet that got shot and his spine severed, and, you know, now he just wants to starve himself because he's so unhappy after all these years. It sounds sweet, but at the end of the report it goes, other vets are coming home and just want to die too. Will we let them? And the CNN voiceover guy breaks down at the, he goes, will we let them? I was watching that last night online. You see those reports every few days, just let them die. It's so beautiful. And I was watching whatever CBS is with the Bilderberg Group member, Charlie Rose, on it. And it was like a woman who didn't know why she had inflammation and why Lou Gehrig's and ALS was exploding. And she was 40 with a child and totally beautiful. And a few years later, you know, is paralyzed from the neck down. And then raised money for Lou Gehrig's and raised money for ALS. It's everybody's getting it. And no discussion of, did you take a vaccine, honey? Because they're like, I'm reading the closed caption when I'm on the elliptical. And I'm thinking, inflammation on the brain, chronic inflammation. They just call it Alzheimer's, ALS if you're young, whatever. They got a bunch of different neurological spectrums that they put out. And I said, inflammation on the brain. And they go. They show CAT scans and go, we don't know why all these people show inflammation on the brain now. MSG, GMO, vaccines, we know exactly in the studies what's doing it. But nobody's going to tell people on CBS News it's the vaccine. I bet money that woman I was watching this morning, I bet money she gets a flu shot every year. I bet money. I bet my right arm. I bet my war hammer. We'll be back. More than 80% of the foreign money coming in to pass Obamacare is by foreign banks owned by people that don't even live here to make you double and triple your insurance or make you get insurance. And we're only a year or two into this. They say the sky's the limit. They will raise it until we all go bankrupt. And the government gets to fine you and come after you, and they get part of the money. And I apologize. Watching one of the best healthcare systems in the world be wrecked, watching a bunch of stupid welfare heads think they're about to get better healthcare when actually the free healthcare they've had is about to be taken away. Oh, they got lots of doctors in Cuba, but you don't get eye surgery, they give you a cane. They got lots of doctors in England, but when you need surgery for skin cancer, they're going to make you wait a year until you die, in many cases. Oh, they got lots of doctors in Canada, but half the time, they're going to end up killing you in the government-run facilities. We look it up. But this isn't even socialist health care. This is just a bunch of foreign interests coming in along with the traitorous government to wreck the entire system, to overthrow it, to bring in national health care administered by private interest with only 3 insurance companies when they're done running the whole show. And they're the big 3 that funded it. Oh, a lot of small and medium insurance companies fought it, just like the Texas Banking Association and other local banking associations around the country fought the Banking Reform Act. And the head of the Texas Banking Association wrote a big article 4 years ago. We read the whole thing on air. It was in the Texas Business Journal. I happened to see it republished in the Austin Business Journal, saying this is a monopolistic conspiracy to shut down all the local banks that actually loan money. And then the big mega banks are going to close their local branches and aren't going to give you loans because they don't need retail banking anymore. They just get given QE unlimited money. And they want you to not have money, so you implode so they can buy up all your assets and property. They want a depression, so you better defeat this legislation. Well, guess what? They didn't defeat it. That's going through now. We're being conquered. We're being laid waste right now. We're being brought down right now. You understand that? Those aren't words. You are being robbed every paycheck now with the payroll tax going up. You're being robbed with all the hidden taxes and the regulations and the fines. You're being robbed because 2,000 major corporations were given total waivers to never get Obamacare. But your company has to, so you can't compete. You're getting laid off because people can't afford to hire you now. You're getting cut from full-time to part-time because of it. It would take me hours to go over this entire scam. And see, in the old days, Americans got upset about being pushed around or cheated. Nowadays, it seems we can only go out and get angry if it's racial. We can't even get mad when they try to ban Christianity and take down crosses everywhere. Americans just haven't remembered who they were. And we've lost our will to stand up for ourselves. We've lost our dignity. We've lost our fighting spirit. But it can be regained. And here's the message. There's no bottom to the pit. The sky's the limit of what these tyrants will do. Thomas Jefferson said it over and over again. The limit of tyranny you will live under. He was asked by a newspaper reporter. I'm paraphrasing his quote, but maybe we can Google it. Thomas Jefferson on the limits of tyranny. The limit of tyranny is exactly the amount you will put up with. You will accept. That is what governs the tyrant. I believe that's the exact quote. That is what governs the tyrant. They don't govern themselves. Hitler couldn't govern himself. He started attacking everybody. Declared war on England, war on the U.S., war on France, war on Czechoslovakia, war on Poland, war on the Soviets. War, 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 war. Because that's what people like him do. You get bad people in charge on power trips. They know no bounds. They run wild till they get stopped. And the globalists have jumped the shark over and over and over and over and over and over again. So I want to open the phones up specifically on this question. Phones are now open. I asked Obamacare supporters to call in after it became law last year, and we saw the increases start. And some actually called in and made fun of me and said that they were getting something free. Others were fake people calling in, acting like NPR zombies. But I want to open the phones up for people that has anybody had their premium lowered? I know of no one. I know of a few people that are already on welfare that went into the hospital and they called it Obamacare when they got the free Medicare or Medicaid that was always there. Now they just water down the quality. I want to hear from you. Are you upset with Gruber, or am I still a conspiracy theorist telling you this was all in there? I want to hear from Obama supporters out there. I know you're listening. I know you exist. If you know, you've got an Obama phone in your hand, or you're a fake bleeding heart, liberal social worker, and because you're not a bad person yourself, you then project that onto the establishment and believe it's your mommy and you're under its little wings like a ducky, like a gosling. You're not under a loving Mother Goose's wings, I will assure you. Stop being a moron schmuck. That's a great word. A chump. I want to hear from you. I'll try to be polite. Do you have the bravada? Do you have the will to call in here? I want to hear how I'm wrong. I want to hear how Jonathan Gruber didn't mean what he said. Here's the toll-free number, 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. I'm going to say it slow because Obama listeners may not have ever called in. Obama supporters. We're on affiliates all over, big cities all over the country. Oklahoma City, Chicago, Austin, Southern California, Kansas City. We're on almost 180 affiliates. I know you're out there listening. Call in. I hear you bashing me on other shows I randomly tune into. I'm like the byword to call in and go, Obamacare's not that bad. What are you, a black helicopter tinfoil hat wearer like Alex Jones? 800-259-9231. I'm going to get into Russia. Get a quick update in Ferguson. We'll have a full report at 1:30 from Sha'Carri Jackson there and Joe Biggs. We're going to get like a quick couple-minute report right now. Then I'll get into Russia and then take your phone calls. 800-259-9231. Let's go ahead and see what Sha'Carri Jackson has to say on the ground in Ferguson. Sha'Carri, still any word on when we're going to get this verdict? I know you're right in front of the courthouse.
No, we have no word as of yet. We were checking the streets last night. We were in Ferguson as well as Clayton, and the streets were pretty quiet. We actually had more media out there than any other people. It's pretty cold. I think the temperatures are keeping people at bay, but we've seen Governor Nixon. He's making the moves. I'm pretty sure he's getting everything in position to announce to have the verdict announced. He wants to mobilize the National Guard. We haven't seen them on the streets as of yet. Not much police presence, at least not a visible police presence as of yet.
Well, they don't want to probably on the surface be provocative or seen as provocateurs. Just like we caught the feds massing, and even CNN's reporting they fired the guy that shot the video of that and took the photos. Just outrageous tyranny. But you can better believe, Jakari, if you go to the National Guard armories and check, I'll bet my bottom dollar they're waiting right now, and that you can find groups of state police and others quietly masked if they're about to announce the verdict. But so are you saying it's going to be today or tomorrow? I mean, is that the feeling?
Well, you know, they keep stringing us along because we heard a lot of people say over the weekend it was going to be Monday, and now it's Tuesday, and we still don't have any official word as to when it's going to come out.
Well, the cold weather, I think, will keep a lot of people off the street. I'm all for the First Amendment and demonstrating, but this is definitely a psyop and needs to be de-escalated, in my view. I mean, I think they should just go ahead and announce it. Don't you think, Jakari?
Yeah, I think it would be a good thing just to go ahead and get it out the way, especially, you know, they have the cold temperatures on their side. It's supposed to warm up slightly throughout the week, so if they want to keep the street presence to a minimum, this would be the ideal time.
Anything else you want to add? We'll get a full detailed report from Biggs and you at the bottom of the third hour.
Well, speaking about Governor Nixon, he was asked by a reporter yesterday during a teleconference, you know, who exactly was in charge of the operation, because he had previously come out and stated during his state of address, his document there, the state of emergency, rather, that the Ferguson, the St. Louis County Police Department would be running the ground operations in Ferguson. But when he was asked by a reporter who was going to be running pretty much the whole shebang, he kind of stuttered and mumbled and didn't really want to answer the question, which I thought was very interesting because I thought it's pretty cut and dry in the document that he gave out earlier. But when he was asked that specific question, and it's a great question by whoever asked that journalist, he couldn't really answer exactly who is running the ground operations. So I thought that was very curious, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen, because we have seen a DHS presence here in the St. Louis area. That's actually while we're out here right now. We're downtown St. Louis. Joe Biggs got a tip that there are some DHS vehicles around here in one of the parking garages. It's pretty much a shot in the dark. We've looked at a few already, but there's plenty of parking garages.
All right, well, that's the Capitol behind you. Keep inspecting, Jakari, and we'll get a full report from you at the bottom of the hour. We have the audio of the governor. It's a question the London Guardian asked him, but he just bumbles so bad it's almost unintelligible. Clearly, he doesn't want to get the blame if things go wrong, and he doesn't want folks to know that DHS is pretty much calling the shots. And when things go wrong, DHS will end up trying to blame the state. So maybe that's why he was caught like a deer in the headlights. Thank you, Jakari. Here is that audio clip of the governor.
Next question. We go next to Matthew Sledge with Huffington Post.
Oh, Huffington Post.
Governor, thank you. Given that you've declared the state of emergency and you put the Highway Patrol on the Unified Command, does the buck ultimately stop with you when it comes to how any protests are policed?
Well, I mean, our goal here is to keep the peace and allow folks' voices to be heard. And in that balance, I'm attempting. I am using the resources we have to marshal to be predictable for both those pillars.
I can't listen to it. He just goes on babbling the entire time, trying to pass the buck. What a mess. Everybody's got to be a PR expert nowadays instead of just being a straight shooter. Yeah, I'm the governor. I'm ultimately in charge of these emergency situations, but we're coordinating with the feds and the locals and, try to get together and decide what the best move is. So it's a group effort. But, of course, in the final equation, the buck stops with me, so I'm doing the best job I can. That's how a governor talks right there. Not the way that guy just talked. And I'm not even attacking him. It's just that I'm so sick of everybody trying to be a PR wonk until we're just a nation of baloney salesmen. I'm going to get to Russia coming up. I want to go ahead and go to some Obama supporters right now. We've got two of them, Joseph in Kansas, Johnny in Missouri. Open lines for Obama supporters. We never have open lines. This is just for Obama supporters. 800-259-9231. Are you proud of Jonathan Gruber? Are you proud of Obama? Do you like the free goodies? Because they're not free. Do you still think he's your Lord and Savior, as Jamie Foxx calls him? Joseph in Kansas, you're up first. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm the Obamacare. My plan really hasn't moved or anything. It's about stayed the same. This is about the only thing. I mean, Obama, and I don't really hate the guy. He doesn't even get to choose what color tie he wears. Everybody needs to be spending their time supplying up, getting ready, red alert, it's here. Wake people up. It's not a game.
Hold on now, just a second. Obama is a puppet, but he's an active globalist. And Obama, the name, Obamacare, this whole movement to break the country. You've heard it's increasing prices for most people. You've heard about the death panels. I'm sure you've heard Gruber admit they lied to people. Do you still support Obamacare?
I mean, I didn't have any part. I didn't really know what it was until after it came out. All we've been worrying about is getting the militia together and getting it going.
Okay. All right, I appreciate your call. There's a Obama supporter. I should have asked him, is it an Obama militia? Johnny in Missouri, you're on the air. Go ahead. You say you're an Obama supporter.
Yeah, but that Obama militia scares me to death, Alex. I've got to be honest with that one.
Well, he did say he created a national security force just as big and just as strong as our military, and then they have all the kids in Chicago in the military outfits doing Obama worship chants, so maybe that's the answer.
Well, the problem is the average IQ is only about, 55, 60? I mean...
Well, the average IQ is supposedly 100, but that's the median. But it has been dropping because of fluoride. So the average IQ used to be about 100, 60, 70 years ago. It's about 90 right now. Mental retardation is 70. If you have a 60 IQ, you have trouble talking. So, no, the average person has about a 90 IQ now.
Well, yeah, but they had 85 at the cutoff point for DHS and
well, when I first heard it 15 years ago that departments have a secret rule that cops can't have over 100 IQ, I didn't believe it. Then cops won lawsuits who were either released or not hired because they had high IQs. That yes, under federal guidelines to get money, you're not to hire an officer with over 100 IQ, and because they found that they will question illegal orders. So yes, they basically want robots.
Now, to get back to the point to being the Obama supporter. I didn't support his first term, okay? Over the course of those 4 years, I realized that he has been the biggest shot in the arm for American national patriotism that this country has ever experienced. We've had more gun sales, more ammunition sales, more people waking up to the defunct situation our government has become over, Alex, 150 years?
Yes.
So he's done more to put the people, at least shake them awake. You know, like you said, when you go into the hospital and they tell you, well, we'll give you a kidney transplant, but you're going to have to wait 6 years. I would think that would be a big wake-up call. So, yeah, I'm an Obama supporter. I voted Democrat this cycle just to scare the hell out of the Republicans, see if they would wake up. And I'm a strong supporter of the National Liberty Alliance, man. We've got a mighty front coming forward.
No, I hear you. And, you know, that's actually, I'm not saying you're communist, you're the opposite. That's a communist tactic. Make it worse to get people mad. And so you're right. I mean, either they're going to win with Obama and take over and break the country, or they bit off more than they could chew. We got more Obama bozos coming up. Michael, Tony, Ron, and others. Stay with us. Anonymous Harry Dent is going to be joining us to talk about the state of the world, the economy. Putin says West is provoking Russia into new Cold War and has kicked, quote, U.S. spies and others out of Russia. Before I go back to Obama supporter calls in this segment and the next, ahead of Dent joining us on this live Tuesday edition, if you want to get our new proprietary Secret 12 vitamin B12 that in studies, vitamin B12 has been shown to reverse depression, all sorts of issues if you have a deficiency in it. And the amount that they say you're supposed to eat every day is just woefully deficient in my view. This has the methylcobalamin of the organic form that we can't find anybody else really out there putting out this high a quality. This is the type people inject, but you take this in your mouth sublingually. It has higher absorption rates. It's just amazing. help the body fight B12 deficiency, can cause anemia, fatigue, weakness, constipation, all sorts of problems, depression, poor memory, asthma, vision problems, and low sperm count. It supports all your body's healthy functions. Secret 12 needs no injections. It's taken in the mouth orally. We're really proud of it. We could have just put B12 out instantly, but we're not putting out synthetic garbage. This is truly amazing stuff, and it helps fund our operation. InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. We have Survival Shield X2. We have Classic Survival Shield, Oxy Powder, DNA Force, Super Male Vitality, Super Female Vitality, Lung Cleanse. OcuPower is back in. But most of it will be sold out within days. But luckily, we're going to get more Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver in by next week. Again, InfoWarsLife.com, super high quality. I want to thank you all for your support. Go to InfoWarsStore.com to find the master shopping cart and the subsection Made in1776.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. And I already took some this morning, but it's vitamin B12, pretty much take as much as you want. I'm going to take some more right now in a nice cup of water. There is no food coloring in this. I mean, the camera picks up how beautiful it is, but not really. It's just like magical stuff, folks. And I don't know why it's the same color, almost the same. The iodine's kind of bluish purple, but this is pure. It's pure. It's pure. This is so special. InfoWarsLife.com. And everyone that knows me just says, what is going on with you? The vitamins, the minerals, the iodine, the exercise, all of it. It's just amazing. I only got like 5 hours sleep last night. I just feel like I'm 20 years old. All right, Tony and Ron, Obama supporters. Don't hang up, Tony. I'm going to you next. First off, Ron in Canada does support Obama. Are you a serious caller?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, how you doing there, terrorist?
I guess I am a terrorist, according to you, yes.
All right. Okay, so basically, here's what I want to say. He's a great liar. He's the father of lies. Muslims love him. Look what he's doing for all the Muslim states out there. I mean, definitely since he's come into power, ISIS is certainly on their way to Israel. So that's great for all those Muslim countries out there that can't stand Israel. Not only that, but, I mean, what's the matter, Alex? You don't like Mexicans? You don't like Saudi Arabia moving against all the states out there that don't enforce Sharia law?
That's right. It means I must hate Arabs. No, I hate people's heads getting chopped off for no reason.
Basically, I think he's great. I've never before we've seen in history somebody that sparked such a revolution. He could be great. Only he must be defeated, but he is there.
All right, another sarcastic caller. You know, I've had actual Obama supporters call in before. And they're usually government workers, and they really believe the dream. I don't think they're out there anymore. I mean, we're on stations all over the country, and let me tell you, 6 years ago, we could get them in calling in here in droves. You just can't do it anymore, which shows the rats are leaving the sinking ship. Second hour coming up. Tell friends and family, tune in right now. We're going to take some calls from Obama supporters. Most of them are people calling in being sarcastic, unfortunately. Then an economist is joining us. We're going to play a mashup John Bound put together of Obama's fraud on Obamacare at the start of the next segment. Pretty powerful stuff, so stay with us for the premiere of that. Tony in Pennsylvania, another Obama supporter. Let's see if you're being satirical. Go ahead.
No, I'm in favor of Obama. He's keeping this evil corporation going.
And explain how that works.
Well, because if, they know, obviously, people are waking up now, so they need someone like him to keep this corporation going. You got to let the illegals in, and you got to entice them, so then you can make them citizens, so you can print currency off of their new citizenship. He's trying to keep this all going. They absolutely know that the wake-up's happening, and they're trying to manage the crisis.
That's right, by bringing in 100 million. I mean, it's just off the chart. It's not 60 million people that will be total government minions. They are in a desperate mode right now. And you think that's great, trying to turn us into a third world country?
Not that, but what's the alternative? Because the people are too dumb to ever try to actually look into what's going on. I mean, you got yourself, who absolutely knows what's going on, and, a handful of others, but everyone else, they don't have a clue. They just follow like the Pied Piper. So as soon as they start getting mad, thinking everything's fixed, they're going to act like maniacs. I mean, it's not a country, it's a corporation. So if I was going to have an evil corporation, he'd be my CEO.
Well, that is true that there was an old tale, I forget what culture it comes out of the wise king, and an evil witch came and poisoned the well in the fortress, town there at the castle, and made everybody turn evil. So what did the wise king do? He went and he drank from the poison well and became evil himself. Because if I was to teleport back to the Aztecs 1,000 years ago and say, hey, don't chop your children's hearts out, they would think I was crazy. So I guess it's true. Like if I was in Nazi Germany in 1941 and said Hitler's bad, they'd kill me. I mean, or if I said Stalin was bad in 1955. So I guess you've got a point. 2 + 2 does equal 5. Thank you, Tony. I apologize. I've been evil. Joseph in Colorado, you say you're a Lord and Savior Obama supporter. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm just partially not really an Obama supporter. I'm just saying on how he's really turning us into communist Russia, Nazi Germany, and I really think he's turning this country into crap.
All right, well, we're taking Obama supporters. Thank you for the call. Jay in Georgia, do we have any real Obama supporter that knows how to dial a telephone? Maybe he gave them telephones to teach folks how to use telephones. Jay, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, do you really support our king?
Here's my question about this. I might be a little uninformed. I was told that the governors were responsible for extending Medicaid and Medicare, and for instance, here in Georgia, Nathan Deal did not extend that, and that is what's causing a lot of this cost to go up, and Obama's getting the blame for it.
Sir, they wrote the bill for foreign insurance companies to screw everybody, and then now he says that's not his intent. Do you understand that some of the architects admit it was meant to bankrupt things and meant to increase your prices, and they deceived you? Does the Gruber video mean anything, or the Emanuel video?
Yeah, it does, but my question is, what about the governor's responsibility to extend the Medicare and Medicaid?
But what pays for that?
I don't know. That's why I said I might be uninformed.
Well, listen, here's the deal. Big corporations a lot of times want a big government program because they can administer them and make money, and it's guaranteed. Like Chase runs most of the welfare programs in this country, so they lobby for more welfare. You can't just have free stuff. It's taking it from somebody else, giving it to others. Then it creates dependency, and society falls apart. So my point is Obamacare was written to bankrupt the country. But you're a real Obama supporter. I want to come back to you if you've got more to say. We're going to go to break. We've got another caller, Matt in Oklahoma. Stay with us. Who says he's a real Obama supporter. Doesn't matter where I go, Bloomberg, CNN, you name it. We see Warren Buffett talking about it. We see Donald Trump saying it, that we're about to go off the edge of a cliff. Well, I know he's been saying it for a long time, and that's Harry Dent. He's coming up in a moment for the balance of the hour. First off, though, I want to play a special report John Bound put out illustrating the fraud of Obamacare that is beginning to collapse in front of our very eyes. And I don't think blue blood Republicans or establishment insiders or Democrats or foreign insurance companies are going to be able to keep this monstrosity going, no matter how lucrative it is for them as a fraud. The fact that it is a criminal fraud and the arrogance of Gruber and others admitting it, I believe will bring it down if we continue to force the point. Here's that report. Then our guest, Mr. Dent.
Massachusetts Institute of Technology's Jonathan Gruber is one of the most respected economists in the world. Said in today's Washington Post, here's a quote, "Here's a bill that reduces the deficit, covers 30 million people, 30 million more people, and has a promise of lowering premiums." Pretty good statement.
We're not finished getting all of our reports back from CBO, but we'll have a side-by-side to compare.
That's Pelosi.
But our bill brings down rates. I don't know if you have seen Jonathan Gruber of MIT's analysis of what the comparison is to the status quo versus what will happen in our bill.
I don't know who he is. He didn't help write our bill.
I don't know if you have seen Jonathan Gruber of MIT's analysis.
I don't know who he is. He didn't help write our bill. And so With all due respect to your question, you have a person who wasn't writing our bill commenting on what was going on when we were writing the bill.
Did you mislead Americans about the taxes, about keeping your plan, in order to get the bill passed?
No, I did not. I just heard about this. Yeah, I get well briefed before I come out here. The fact that some advisor who never worked on our staff.
A lot in that room was think about, well, how could we make this work? And Obama was like, well, you know, I mean, he's really a realistic guy. He's like, look, I can't just do this. He said, it's just
some advisor who never worked on our staff expressed an opinion that I completely disagree with.
Next time I see him is summer 2009. The big issue there is that he really wants to make sure we're moving forward on cost control.
I think it's fair to say that there was not a provision in the health care law that was not extensively debated and was fully transparent.
Lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. And basically, you know, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to getting the thing to pass. And to me, the most important piece, and in some sense the piece I guess I'm most disappointed that Doug and I disagree on, is the Cadillac tax. Okay, economists have called for 40 years to get rid of the regressive, inefficient, and expensive tax subsidy to employer-provided health insurance. No economist, and I'm sure Doug agrees with this, no economist would ever set up a health system with a tax subsidy to employer-provided health insurance. It's a terrible policy. Turns out politically, it's really hard to get rid of. And the only way we could take it on was first by mislabeling it, calling it a tax on insurance plans rather than a tax on people, and we all know it's really a tax on people who hold those insurance plans. And the second one was to start it late. Started in 2018.
This is one guy. I don't know who this guy was. All I know is that it's important for people to have health insurance. And if you guys are saying people shouldn't have health insurance, I don't know where you're coming from. Are you that cruel? That is what you're saying.
Mike, the fact is, I think it's actually Republicans who haven't been particularly transparent or even honest about the true impact of those. Well, it is Republicans who have been less than forthright and transparent.
It's not true.
You lie.
And one more misunderstanding I want to clear up. Under our plan, no federal dollars will be used to fund abortions, and federal conscience laws will remain in place.
But it does fund it.
Now,
yeah, it is a giant cancer that's meant to tie into every part of our economy, federalized health care, death panels, huge taxes to foreign corporations, huge slice of the federal government, a total nightmare. And we're joined by Mr. Dent for the balance of the hour, best-selling author Harry Dent. He's made some of the biggest predictions. I won't go over those in the last 20-plus years. HarryDentResearch.com, HarryDent.com. And he, of course, has an MBA from Harvard Business School and worked at Bain & Company as a top strategist consultant for Fortune 100 companies. And, of course, he's been a CEO of major companies as well. And he joins us. We appreciate him coming on. I want to get more of the demographic cliff, because now everywhere, not just Donald Trump, but I was on CNN's website this morning, and they had big economists saying that we're going to go over the edge of a cliff and QE's ending, and the British government saying that. Clearly, they think some police state will save them from what's coming, but the system knows it's going to be catastrophic. Why would they throw an Obamacare in that if I was going to design something to stall the economy, it'd be Obamacare? I mean, are they consciously trying to wreck the economy while they consolidate it? Are they insane? Because I used to think it was more of a conspiracy, and there's obviously corrupt stuff going on and organized crime in government. But more than that, I really think with their public bragging about ripping us off and acting delusional, I'm now prescribing more and more to the fact that, like Nero or Hitler or anybody else, that the political class is going insane right now. Mr. Dent, what do you think's happening? Because I want your take on Obamacare and top strategists that were involved in it admitting it's a giant screw job. Why would they then brag about screwing us? I mean, what's wrong with these people?
Well, you know, first of all, we're in la-la land when it comes to entitlements. There is no way we can pay what's been promised in health care and in Social Security. Pension plans are already realizing this. The typical person, because I study demographics, retires at age 63, not 65, and then they will live another 22 years. You cannot live with full health care benefits and Social Security. Governments cannot afford to fund that. with the largest generation in history moving into these age ranges. So right now we're just beginning to feel the sting and the cost of health care, and this is only going to make it more costly. The truth is, Alex, the biggest thing that needs to happen, something that will only be forced in a crisis, we need to be retiring at age 75, not 63 to 65. Gone up since how much our life expectancy in the 30s and 40s. We're not adjusting for this. And it's crazy to think we can support, people can work for 40 some years and then be supported for 20 some years by the government. It's just endless deficits. We're going to see endless deficits even in good times. And of course, my demographics have been predicting difficult times. The only indicator that predicted the crash in Japan in the early 90s, when everybody thought Japan was going to take over the world, it is pointing down for China. It is pointing severely down for Germany. And the U.S., although we peaked back in 2007 with the spinning of our baby boom generation, we're going to see a bigger demographic drop, which comes after age 53. And that is this year peak for the baby boomers. So all the trends I have point down. And what do governments do? The worst thing they're doing, Alex, is they're pumping up the economy with steroids. I call it the markets on crack. They're just pumping money into the economy to keep it going. They're not allowing massive debt to rebalance and restructure.
Well, let me ask you this question, because we've talked about these basic market facts, and at the bottom of the hour, we'll go through some of your new graphs and some of your old graphs for folks. But how do you expect, as an analyst, a guy that has a really good brain and has made a lot of accurate predictions, where do you expect the dominoes? We're not holding you to this, but where would you, in a prime projection, if you had to say, if you had to plan your next 10 years now, or tell folks what you thought was going to happen, where do the dominoes start to fall first? Is it China? Is it in Russia? Is it the Middle East? And what do you expect to do with not just the welfare crowd, but so many yuppies and people think they're going to live large forever on propped up government derivatives and things? There's a lot of irrational exuberance out there. What happens when the music stops and we're playing musical chairs and passing this hand grenade around? How bad's it going to be?
Well, first of all, the biggest thing to understand beyond demographics and debt trends going against us is that we're in a bubble. We were in a bubble from late 94 to early 2000. People thought it would never end. It went up and up and up and up. And then when it crashed rapidly. Bubbles crash twice as fast as they build. It tends to take 5 to 6 years to build a stock bubble, like late 24 to late 29, 85 to 89 in Japan. We had late 94 to early 2000. Now we've got early 2009. And I think this bubble's probably going to peak by March of next year, give or take. And the point is, it doesn't correct. There's some people saying, oh, we'll get a correction. Stocks are getting a little too frothy. Bubbles don't correct. They burst. When the NASDAQ bubble burst in 2.5 months, the first crash took it down 40%. Half the entire decline came in the first 2.5 months. So I tell people the dominoes are going to fall in the next few months. The market could be peaking here, but the signs are that we're going to get a correction here pretty soon, and we'll go up a bit.
Where will it crash hardest? Places like China?
Yes. And I think the dominoes, the danger periods for triggering this, last time it was the subprime crisis in the U.S. Real estate was falling, as we predicted back in late 2005. The real estate had peaked. The bubble was going to burst. It started bursting. Then it triggered all these bad loans from very, very bad lending. That was the trigger, but the whole world went down because of debt and demographics. The triggers this time, I think, obviously politically, Putin and Ukraine is the biggest thing. The Middle East has been in problems forever and will be for the next several years by our indicators. But I think that's the biggest danger, Putin moving into Ukraine and continuing aggression on the political side. And on the demographic side, Germany looks worse than Japan did to me in 1989 when we called their crash ahead of time.
Oh, yeah, the Germans aren't having kids.
Decline.
I mean, the Germans aren't having kids. They're done.
They are done, and their demographic, they're going to just keep, they have already disappointed all this year. We forecast that last year. Germany's going to disappoint, then it's going to really turn down in 2015.
You did say that last year. Let's come back and look at that and talk more about Russia, because he just threw out diplomats calling them spies. This is escalating quick, regardless of which side of this you're on. This is serious. We'll be right back. I'm Alex Jones. Best-selling author, researcher, economic forecaster, joins us, HarryDent.com. I know we've got some Obama supporters that called in earlier, and I wanted to hear from them. We can get your comments coming up, and we'll take a few other calls on economic questions for Mr. Dent. Maybe you disagree with him, maybe you agree. 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231 on this live Tuesday edition. Again, I'm your host, Alex Jones. This is out of the London Guardian. Putin says West is provoking Russia into a new Cold War as spies deported. Russian president denies fanning tensions, says NATO expansion in Europe has been geopolitical game changer. They've now got fighter bombers and bombers flying around the Gulf of Mexico that are nuclear able. Vladimir Putin has suggested to a German interviewer that the West is provoking Russia into a new Cold War. And he's also kicking out different NATO and other ambassadors, saying they're basically spies. Well, I mean, all these people are spies. Here's my deal. I don't say Putin's a great guy. My problem is Russia has not been expanding itself. They're lowering oil prices to try to bankrupt them. The West is. They are destabilizing Ukraine. I would expect Russia to come in and try to get control of its resources in eastern Ukraine. That said, though, the West is just going forward. Mr. Dent, what's your view on this as from an atheistic view? And I don't mean that obviously religiously, but as a political, atheistic view. What is it? What do you expect Russia to do, and why do you call it the biggest trigger right now?
Well, it's just naturally in Putin's interest. The demographics of Russia are very poor in the years ahead. They've been growing very slowly. All of the communist countries, there was just an op-ed by David Brooks in the New York Times recently that says you look at the communist countries, like 90% of them are basically failed. Only 10% of them are working in capitalists, and a lot of those just because they have resources. Putin's got every incentive to expand by acquiring places like the Ukraine and Georgia back into the old Soviet Union. That's a strong goal of his. He makes no bones about it. He doesn't care if people don't like him. He's in control of his country. He's popular there. I think he's going to find every way to keep pushing. It's just a matter of when he finds the hole, like a good runner in football, and just breaks through the line. And so when he does that, that's going to be very destabilizing for the world. It's the next World War III, if we're going to have one. It's not going to be anything like World War II. The Middle East is more like civil wars within. This is something that could be a major conflict when it happens. We also, Alex, have a geopolitical cycle that was positive from 83 to 2000. Nothing went wrong in the world. From 2000, from 9/11, 2001, 9/11 forward, everything's gone wrong. This cycle continues to point down. I've tracked it over 200 years into 2019. So we're also telling people the geopolitical arena in the world is not going to get better. It's only going to get worse in the Middle East, in Russia, Africa, whatever. Maybe Ebola turns into something. I don't know. But the stock market is going straight up as if we're not in a risky world. This is the riskiest time by all of our indicators since the 1930s, and the markets are acting like it's a cakewalk. Why? Because the Federal Reserve is guaranteeing the market. They're just pushing money in. If the markets go down, they push more money in. And the markets think, hey, the Fed's got our back. So they're just going to go up until something goes wrong. And then you're going to see a bubble crash way worse than we saw in 2008 and 9.
Let's talk about what the different political elites are doing. We're about to go to break, long segments coming up. Clearly in the universities, clearly in leftist politics, Bill and Melinda Gates, you name it, they don't want Germany and England and the United States and places like that to have children. Clearly, there's a move to tell you shouldn't have, more than one kid, but then they want to import third world populations from unskilled areas. Why would the political elites want to undermine the future of the West?
Well, I don't know, Alex, but it's something we've seen throughout history. When people get more affluent, when they move from rural to urban areas, they have less kids because it costs so much to raise a kid in urban areas. And now with the education bubble, which is the greatest bubble I've ever seen, and something has to be done about it. You have to be rich just to get into college, or you have to get huge student loans. So this is a thing that goes with urbanization. It's happening around the world. People choose to have less kids, and governments and institutions support it. You have to have at least 2 kids a family that just sustain your country. And
nobody doubts that demographic fact. I agree. Then why are the eugenicists, the leftists, jumping on having less kids and saying it's bad to even have one or two. Why do they have such an anti-civilization view? I want to see if you agree with that or disagree. Straight ahead. Stay with us, folks. Your phone calls are coming up as well. We've gone over the numbers that Dent is breaking down here. So why is there an attempt with carbon taxes to shut down the West? Why is there an attempt to do this when we need to produce more real wealth just to keep from collapsing? And then they want us to sign on to more unsustainable debt is because insider mega banks want a debtor society they can control. We'll get Dent's take and see if he disagrees here in a moment and start taking some of your phone calls. Before we go any further, though, here are some of the headlines. New York Times, Obama administration and health insurers have powerful, mutually beneficial partnership. New York Times. Vow, companies will strenuously fight Republican efforts to dismantle Obamacare. And more taxes are now emerging. Meanwhile, 3,000 illegals joined Texas schools this week. 95% of families of illegals being released. New wave expected. I mean, this country is being imploded right now, ladies and gentlemen. Ex-Obama aide demolishes New York Times claim that Gruber role was unlimited. Former Obama aide says that he was the guru of the health plan. We'll cover that article coming up, and the video is on Infowars.com with the guest Steve Ratner. We're going to play that clip coming up once we get its top story, prisonplanet.com, Infowars.com, HarryDent.com is our guest website. Before I go any further, give the gift this Christmas, I'll be politically incorrect, or this holiday, of getting people healthy. We've come out with revolutionary, hardcore, missing link, hiding in plain view, true nation iodine that so many people are deficient in, that does so much more than just the regular iodines out there. Survival Shield X2 and Survival Shield Original. Survival Shield X2 is almost sold out. We have regular Survival Shield. DNA Force, game changer. Oxy Powder, you've heard the rave reviews. Super male and super female vitality, lung cleanse. And now the new, truly organic methylcobalamin, 80% of it's that, and the rest is the other organic, 20%. Secret 12, what we believe is the best B12 out there, just does amazing things. Unfortunately, we even got more delivered than we had previously produced. They had an overage at the laboratory, but it will be sold out within a couple days. So if you want to get Secret 12, it'll probably be till Christmas till we get more. Just can't wait to hear your reviews of it. It's been amazing for me and my family. Secret 12, what we believe is the most powerful, purest, highly absorbable form of B12 out there. 80% of it, of what's in there, is what the injectable is. But you don't inject this. It's taken sublingually or lingually, under the tongue or on the tongue. It's more if you put it under the tongue and let it really soak into those glands, the saliva glands there. But very, very powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. And you can also get a nightly news membership for all my films, the nightly news, the commercial-free podcast, special events, and more. 20 years of material. It's been around 14 years now. PrisonPlanet.tv, InfoWarsNews.com, $5.95 a month. 20 people. We just turned it up yesterday. 20 people can use one membership. So just buy a membership, create a username and passcode that's original, share it with your friends and family. 20 can log in simultaneously, prisonplanet.tv. And then when they try to censor us on YouTube and places, it won't matter. You have a major fallback position in HD. You can watch it on Roku, Boxy, your cable systems. We're adding new stuff all the time, and we just dominate the charts all over the place. And, that's another question for Dent on trends. If a guy from Texas in 20 years, from nowhere, never took a loan, nothing, can build this organization that reaches about 18 million people a week one way or another with podcasts, YouTube, terrestrial radio, satellite, what's the establishment media going to do? Well, CNN's getting dropped off Dish. CNN's getting dropped off cable systems. But not just because they're too big, too top-heavy, too dinosaur-like. It's also they told us Obamacare was good. So Dent, I want to get with you today into the Dow mini megaphone pattern chart, show that to folks, other key news. But what do you expect on that subject I raised, or do you disagree that there is an anti-growth, anti-freedom, anti-family move in the West that is counterproductive even to the political class. Do you disagree with that, A? Or B, why do you think that is?
Well, yeah, I think governments just aren't taking into account some fundamental changes that have already occurred. Women have entered the workforce at rapid rates since the 1950s. When women enter the workforce, it starts to become a dilemma between work, their career, and having kids. The countries that help women the most and have the strongest maternity policies, countries like Norway and Sweden, have some of the highest birth rates in the West. Countries like Australia, Canada, and New Zealand and the U.S. encourage high immigration or attracted high immigration one way or the other, and the immigrants tend to have more kids. But governments need to realize that as people get affluent, as they move more into urban areas, as women move more in the workforce, you have to encourage and make it easier for women to still have kids. They have to be able to work and have kids. You can't make those work against each other. And there's countries that are doing this. And there's countries that don't have huge deficits like Australia. There's countries like Australia that attract high-quality immigration on purpose. There's ways to do this right. It's just most governments are asleep on this. And like you say, there's too much encouragement, entrepreneurialism. We need to encourage all this stuff. More kids, more entrepreneurial activity, less bureaucracy, less top-down planning, and the most top-down planned economy in the entire world today, supplanting the USSR, is China. And China is going to have the biggest bubble of all because their government created a bigger bubble than our government has.
Well, they admit that. So what do you expect is going to happen? How do you see China going down? And then I want to get into the Dow mini megaphone pattern that's so important and look at the Dow at 6,000. You've got all these charts at harrydent.com, but history doesn't lie. Patterns don't lie. They're clearly there. How do you expect China to go?
Well, here's what you have to understand what China's done for people are saying, oh, the communist model actually works when you make it more capitalistic like China. No, economists are clueless on this. China has simply overbuilt everything, 20, 30, 40, 50%. Infrastructures, real estate and housing, industrial capacity. China has moved people from rural to urban areas. That is a natural thing, but not at the rate. China's economy is on steroids. They have overbuilt. I've calculated they pretty much overbuilt their economy for 15 years out and created the greatest bubble in real estate in modern history. When this thing crashes, there's going to be 220 million people with no skills moved in from rural areas who've been just building stuff for nobody. When that bubble stops, they're going to have no work. They're not even legal citizens in these cities, only back in the rural areas, and they've already paved those over. This is going to be the biggest disaster in modern history. And Alex, what I think it's going to prove wrong on these economists who are praising the China model as the new state-driven capitalism, it's going to prove that governments can't top-down manage an economy. It's the free market democratic systems that have become so wealthy. And China is violating that, and they're going to prove this model, their new model, wrong.
Well, that's right. History is totally clear on that. And I love how they call it state-run capitalism. They have another name for it. It's called fascism.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, it is top-down. It's crony capitalism. In the Communist Party, it's just like the mafia or something. Whoever knows the politicians gets favored by them. They get the deals. The politicians encourage all this overbuilding, and then they encourage the developers not to cut prices, and the developers encourage clueless, affluent Chinese to buy condos that are empty. They don't even try to rent them out. They just buy them. And the government and developers try to guarantee they'll go up. Well, developers are cutting prices. That's the first sign. They are cutting prices up to 40%.
Well, I was about to say, how do you build, tens of millions of units? I mean, just whole cities of empty 50-story, 60-story condos, and there's not even grocery stores for 15 miles away and no roads. It is insane asylum level.
It is. This is so obvious, Alex. But economists don't see it. Well, China's growing at 8-12% a year. I tell people, look at China's stock market where they don't measure growth, they measure profits. That's what stocks do. When you overbuild, you have high fixed costs, high debt loads, and you're unprofitable. China's stock market crashed 70% more than ours in 2008, had a feeble rally into early 2010, and has been going down ever since. It's near its lows. The stock market is saying our economy stinks, and it does. Now, when real estate and all the speculation in real estate collapses, the affluent are going to lose wealth at a rate that nobody's seen. And the affluent people, the top 10% of people in China who are buying all this real estate, they control 60% of the wealth and high amounts of income. When the affluent go down, China's going to go down, and this is going to be one of the biggest surprises of the next several years.
What about the Dow mini megaphone pattern? We're going to put that on screen for TV viewers, but describe it for radio listeners.
Yeah, put that up, because we talked the last few times I talked about a bigger megaphone pattern where you have each bubble goes higher, but each crash goes lower. Well, the same pattern's happening here near term. Since June, each high in the market's gone a little higher, but each low has gone radically lower. So we're at a critical point here in the markets. We had this correction, this sharp correction into October 15th, but then a surprisingly even sharper move back up. I call these the markets on crack. When you have this much stimulus and highly leveraged speculation by traders and stuff, the market just crazy. It just goes up, 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 and then it makes these violent moves. It kills the everyday investor. The market's at a critical point. With the top part of this little mini megaphone pattern, just a little above it, which is typical at the end, we're either going to go back down to the lower side, which would be about 15,500 on the Dow, or if we don't make a new low in the next month, I'm saying by mid-December is my decision point. If we don't see a new low in the Dow, like 15,500 or so by early to mid-December, then this market's probably going to go push up one more time, and our target would be around 19,000 on the Dow, and that's because the final resistance would be the old high on the NASDAQ.
Sure.
Back in 2000, at 5,050, and that's about 7 to 8% higher. So stocks are either going to go 7 to 8% higher in the next couple of months, but if they break down about 12%, then this bubble is over.
And then that's what our entire fiat economy is based on. I hear some people calling to talk radio. I talk to folks on the street. They say, I don't care if Obama's bankrupting coal power plants. I don't care if the stock market goes down. I don't own stock. They don't know they get electricity from those plants. They don't know companies are running and expanding and hiring people off their stock price. What's going to happen to kind of the trust fund kids, the yuppies, the trendies, also blue-collar workers that don't care about these? I mean, what's going to happen when this comes crashing down? I expect people to just go crazy.
Well, Homer Simpson already got hit. The housing crisis, they peaked. The average household peaks at age 46. We hit that in 2007. We predicted that 20 years before, that by 2007, our economic momentum after that would turn down. It did. Governments are just filling that up with free money, which is crazy. But Homer Simpson's already been hit hard. Underwater mortgages, wages have been declining, adjusted for inflation, since 2000, for a long time. It's the top 20%, the college-educated, low unemployment people, and these 20% own all the financial assets like stocks. Most people own a home, but most people don't own that much stocks. When this stock market crashes, it's going to hit the affluent, and it's going to hit them much harder than it hit Homer Simpson, because they're so invested in this bubble and in real estate and stocks. So
and they're very haughty and very arrogant. You know, they make fun of the old timers that would put their money in their mattress or bury gold in the back 40. Well, you know what? Those old folks ended up being in a good place, once the Depression hit, and actually got richer. But it's the trendies that end up jumping out of buildings.
Yes, exactly. And the government has rigged the markets, by putting interest rates at 0 short term and 0 adjusted for inflation long term. They're saying money is free. That means people they're not going to buy bonds, so they forces them into the stock market. It allows traders and hedge funds and financial institutions to lever 30 to 51 at low cost, and that just feeds this bubble.
And then they make money just off of the trades.
It has to burst. It's not inflation we should worry about, or hyperinflation. It's this bubble bursting because the government has deliberately created another bubble to keep the wealthy spending, because they're the only people that will spend, and wealthy people peak later, around early 50s, which is about now. So we see the wealthy going off a cliff naturally, and we see this bubble bursting, hitting them because they own all these way overvalued financial assets.
That's right. Absolutely right. This is a fact. Just strap yourselves in. Mercedes and Dan for the guests. Then we'll go to Matt and Chuck and Jay after he leaves us, all these Obama supporters. We've got our reporters in Ferguson to give us a report at the bottom of the next hour. Let's go to Mercedes in Oregon. You got a question for Mr. Dent. Go ahead.
Yes, I was listening, and I take real issue with any statements claiming that people have to work until they're 75. That, to me, is an insane statement, because And I'll tell you, the minute that Alex Jones started speaking out and standing up for all of us, for himself and for all of us, his family, this was on its way out, okay? People got to understand that. We are awaking. We're making changes. We're doing it on a conscious and unconscious level now. All this horrible stuff that you guys are seeing is because it's on its way out, okay?
Well, ma'am, let me just stop you for a minute. Let me just stop because I want to quantify what you're saying. Listen, he's saying with the amount of entitlements, with what's been done, with all the free stuff given away to big corporations but also poor people, it's created debt bubbles that even if you work till 75, you're not going to be able to basically retire. We've created an impossible fraud living on future generations. So he doesn't want you to work till you're 75. He's saying that that's a mathematical fact of what has been developed. And sorry, you didn't have 3 kids, so there isn't a big enough economy now for you to be able to do that. I mean, this is just how it works. But I'm going to skip this network break. This is so important. I want to give her time. Quantify for me. Talk to me like I'm 5 years old, Mercedes. What are you saying here? You're saying we're going to beat this system. We're going to change it. We're going to whatever. I mean, explain to me, because their answer is bring in austerity, and so you'll be willing to live with less. That's the bureaucrats' answer, and then punish everybody, like with Obamacare for the overspending, which is, you know, worse than fascism. I don't even know what you call this. What are you quantifying here? I mean, what are you trying to say?
Okay, so look, you've already pointed out the fraud. It's a fraud, okay? So patterns, projections, all this stuff based on fraud. Therefore, we replace the fraud with a real economy. And this is where other people come into play, like Karen Hudes. She's been talking about restoring the economy on its basic level. What is the money based on? She's saying gold, and it's there. We can make this change without having to go into war, because that is what everybody wants. I mean, it's so fraudulent. It's so big. Don't you understand?
No. Listen, I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate your call. I want to get Mr. Dent's take on this, but listen. They've made the decision that old people are crud and that babies are crud, euthanize everybody. That's going to be the real solution that Bill Gates is getting us ready for and the left's getting everybody ready for. Okay? We have to start valuing our parents again. We have to start valuing being savers again. We have to start valuing our heroes, being trailblazers and inventors again. I don't want to blame the general public, but on average, we've gotten pretty decadent and soft, okay? Now, Dent can disagree, but I want to get his take on this. He's just talking about what they're already getting everybody ready for. Is there a way out of this or a way to mitigate it and not make it as rough as it's going to be? Because I can tell this is scaring people. What do you take from what she said?
Well, Mercedes, I hear what you're saying. It's just, here's the number. $67 trillion in unfunded Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security entitlements promised to people at a time when the economy is going to slow down naturally because the baby boom has peaked in spending. So this number is only going to get worse. $67 trillion. That is 4 times as much as our total government, federal government debt that has people scared to death. That's reality. If you can figure a way we can retire at 63 to 65 and fund that $67 trillion and growing, then great. My second thing is, everybody I know that's retired, and most people, are bored. I have no intentions to retire until my health fails. I'm going to work till 75, 80, whatever. I want to do something. I want to maybe work less. I maybe want to do something that's more, fun to me or more challenging or something I value more.
No, you might want to go teach economics. You might want to go oil paint. You might want to, run a gardening school. You might want to take more vacations, but,
Or start your own charitable foundation. There's many things to do, but this is a reality that America and all countries around the world are not facing. And you see Japan's debt just keeps going up and up and up and up and up because they're 11 years ahead of us. Japan has had their bubble burst ahead of us. Real estate stocks, they've had this coma economy with stimulus that never turns around because they don't rebalance the debt and don't let the bubbles burst and let things, because see, one of the problems is people old or young are facing unaffordable education, unaffordable health care. People investing for the future are going to get no returns because stocks and real estate have bubbled up so much. If we don't correct these imbalances, which the free market system does very, very well on its own, then we're not going to have a future.
But I mean, look, there's a destructiveness to it, and I go back to the Democrats, and I've never been a partisan person, but they've really turned into a virulent form of cancer right now. I'm just stating the facts here. They're not like Australia or Switzerland saying, bring us your skilled workers, bring us your brains. They want now welfare moms, unaccompanied kids, people with mental illness, people with handicaps to bankrupt the system, and they admit they want to bankrupt it. To, like Ezekiel Emanuel said, we want to wreck everything to take it over. There is a piratical nature here where they want to ride these crises to dictatorial power. Your take on that statement?
Well, I'll just back up and say, look, we have to face this problem. It takes a transition. Germany's already raised their retirement age from 65 to 67, and they're older than us. That's
no,
why
I know, but they're not even trying to replace people with hard workers now. Why would the Democrats want the worst immigrants out there?
Right, exactly. We let the least educated come across the border freely, and then we turn down people with master's degrees that come over here from China and India. So again, it's the opposite of what Australia does. Australia has the next generation is larger than the baby boom generation in Australia, Norway, and Sweden, and a handful of smaller countries, because they've encouraged births or they've encouraged high quality immigration. We have to do that. We're doing the opposite.
We have to stop committing suicide politically and economically. Let's go to Dan in Canada. Has a question for Mr. Dent. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yep, you're on the air.
All right. Hey, how you doing? First-time caller.
Welcome.
Basically, I got a question. I was listening to some other economic people talking, and the people that don't have money, let's say, to buy gold or silver or whatever, like the people that are working hard, just trying to get by day to day, pay their bills, and raise their kids or families as best they can. They were saying to go into something like, for example, like say buy bottles of alcohol or cartons of cigarettes and just stockpile them because they could be used as bartering tools later on.
Yeah, I've always told people like bourbon bottles and shotgun shells, things that people will want, or canned goods or something. Makes sense. Gold and silver keep going down because the reality is we're in a deflationary environment. When you have asset bubbles, when stocks and financial assets bubble up, driven by debt bubbles.
Sure, I think he's asking how to be more successful now.
You get deflation. Money gets destroyed. Cash is king. And like you say, just basic things that you can barter with will be much better than gold and silver. I see gold going to $700 or lower and silver going to $5 to $10 or lower. And we got people out of silver at $49 in late April of 2011, the day of the top. We said
it's still a wild card in my view, but we got to look at all options. Expanding on that, though, I think he's mainly asking, how can he be more successful? You've got to see how trends are moving. You might have to move to a boom town and know the business and the niche where you can charge more and be more successful, and then force yourself to expand and duplicate your skill. Because it's almost like you can't stay small now and really gain a bunch of wealth. In most cases, you've got to duplicate that skill you've got in an area that is a boom area. And so what did our ancestors do before when something was bad? They migrated. And so, I mean, it's coming to a time where you can't sit where you've always been. You've got to move around and try things and be entrepreneurial. Mr. Dent?
Yeah, and real quickly, this is the time to become an entrepreneur because jobs are going to get slaughtered when this happens. But it's also, in demographics, there's always something booming. As the baby boomers age, if I were working for a car dealer, I would switch to an RV dealer. RVs are going to have the greatest boom in history. Healthcare, nursing homes, vitamin companies, things like this.
Yeah.
These things are going to boom with the aging of the baby boomers. So you want to also orient your job or your skills to a sector that still has good demographic trends, or like you say, towns where people are moving to. Texas is a great state. I mean, it's got the strongest migration and immigration of any country, and it's created the most jobs. So if you're in Texas, you didn't have a bubble in real estate like the coast did, so you're not going to get creamed, and you've got better demographics. So yes, we've got a free newsletter, Economy and Markets at harrydent.com. We give people a lot of information.
You do, and thank you so much. We're going to talk to you soon. harrydent.com. Folks, go check that out. I'm Alex Jones. Stay with us. We got the Obama supporters coming up. Just to be clear, folks, I'm holding on to all the gold and silver I have, and I believe that the globalists are manipulating the economy where you're going to have depressionary bubbles imploding, inflationary bubbles imploding into depressionary type economics, but you'll also see commodities spike during that as well. So that's why I've never sold a piece of gold or silver that I've gotten, and most of it I bought when it was, silver was $6 an ounce and gold was $350. And I've still bought throughout. I bought when it was up to $2,000. I bought when it was down at $1,200. But it could be the way Dent says. It's just that now there's a lot less resources, and so things that do have intrinsic value and are portable, I believe are going to have high value. That's my view on it. So I believe those that have invested in gold and silver as a hedge against uncertain times have done well. I believe I've done well. You notice I live in Texas. You notice I'm in nutraceuticals. Everything he was recommending. I mean, I try to fund our operation to get the word out by thinking smart so that I can do that. There are not many other people that have ever been able, from grassroots level, to fund an operation the way I've done it without major corporate backing. I mean, we weren't created by News Corp, that was already worth tens of billions of dollars like Fox News. This all just came from you supporting us. So I think my economic views have some value, and that's my 2 cents. Matt in Oklahoma says he supports Obama. Thanks for holding. Matt, go ahead. I mean, do you really support Obama?
Well, let me go ahead and start off and say, I did support him. I voted for him in even both elections.
To prove you're not racist?
Specifically, yes, because, you got to do that these days. But ultimately, my reasoning was, I'd actually lived through the Bush years and was, one of those people that was kind of pissed off the way that whole thing went. I personally, due to the way the economy, the industry I was in was devastated when the economy was destroyed with all of the resources being sent overseas to basically rebuild Iraq. The cost to build houses.
No, I get it. So you voted against the Republicans as a referendum on what they did, and I totally get it. The problem was Obama works for the very same people and was meant to sell the left on completing that takeover. Remember, Mitt Romney thanked Jonathan Gruber.
Right. And that's actually why I wanted to call in, because a lot of times I realize he's going to be the poster child for, the darts to be thrown. But you've also got to realize that you probably have a lot of people that are, middle of the road that watch the show. And if you always toss out ad hominem attacks against the left or the right, you're kind of playing into the very system that you're lamenting against.
Well, I think that's a fair question. I didn't support the Republicans under Bush, even though they claim to be more libertarian. And if the Republicans get in and become a virulent form of cancer, like the Democrats have become, I mean, the Republicans weren't saying 2 + 2 = 5, and I should turn all my guns in. If they act like that, I'll go after them. I'm going after Boehner and all of them for backing Obamacare right now. So I'm trying to go after the Republican leadership to try to get good libertarians in through the Republican Party to try to actually change things. And so I see the entire establishment lined up against the Tea Party for a good reason. The Tea Party's got a lot of good people in it, and it's got some good, sound economic ideas in it. Now, are they a little Islamophobic? Yes. Do they like wars? Yes. But that's changing. The Ron Paul revolution lives on in the Tea Party that the Republicans tried to take over and failed. And so all I'm saying is I'm trying to fix this peacefully, because between the Republican and Democratic leadership, we don't have a prayer in hell. So we've got to try to take the states back. We've got to try to take over the Republican Party. If the Democrats had some insurrection in them to turn things around, I would support that. What do you say to that?
Well, I entirely agree with everything you just said there. Ultimately, the real problem is that we don't live in a democracy. We live in a plutocracy ruled by
Stay there. I'm going to come back to you, Matt. And then we're going to go to everybody else that's holding, like Chuck, Michael, Jay, Douglas, and others. I know this. Celebrity politics is not dead, but it's dying. People are sick of politicians acting like movie stars. They're sick of red carpets. They're sick of Hollywood folks surrounding the president. I don't care who they are. We want results. We want transparency. We want freedom. And we don't want unsustainable entitlements for foreign banks or illegal aliens or anybody else. I got a report here in my stack where Illinois' pension funds for the government are $101 billion. You could take all the money over the next 20 years. It's in the report, and it wouldn't pay for that. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to get the money. They'll default on it, or they'll devalue the dollar down to the point you get maybe 10% of it. And look, a lot of folks that are 60 years old have been paying into their public pension for all these years. Sorry, it got siphoned off into fraudulent investments, and you're getting paid back too much. You got robbed. Why do you think government's buying armored vehicles and digging in for war? Because they know this country's going to go crazy. And they know the vets are going to get mad when their pensions get cut off. I'm going to go back to your phone calls. Matt was making some really good points. He was an Obama supporter, but they always counter back, well, what about the Republicans? I get it. We're going to have him finish up. Then we'll go to Chuck and Jay and Michael and Bill and others. Toll-free number to join us, 800-259-9231. Bill wants to talk about Ferguson and the police. Michael wants to talk about Dent, but Dent's gone. We'll get his question. We got Jay, who's an Obama supporter. Chuck's an Obama supporter. We're going to go to them in a minute. But since this got brought up, Kit Daniels, one of our great intrepid writers for PrisonPlanet.com and Infowars.com, noticed this article by Paul Watson. Gruber, key consultant to Obama in 2008 presidential campaign. Gruber visited Obama's office at the Democratic Party's most influential health care expert. And that's what is basically being said right now. And we have Obama saying it on tape. Ex-Obama aide demolishes New York Times claim that Gruber's role was limited. MIT professor was the guru of healthcare. Now, before Paul even did this article, we're thinking on the same page. Kit was doing his article thinking of, there's all these videos of Gruber saying he worked with Obama and Obama saying he worked with Gruber as a key architect in all of this. Then there'll probably be articles about it. And Kit found the article Tuesday, July 10th, 2007, for Democrats, pragmatism on universal health care. And it goes on to say that Jonathan Gruber basically engineered it. On the other side was the economist from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, who has become possibly the party's most influential health care expert. Kit's headline ought to be, Washington Post said Gruber was Obama's top expert in 2007. That's before he even got elected, folks. But I mean, this is a great headline. Gruber, key consultant to Obama in 2008 presidential campaign. But even before that, this is incredible. Listen to this. On the other side was economist from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, who has become possibly the party's most influential healthcare expert and a voice of realism in its internal debates. But they're saying he's not key. Obama says he's key. Pelosi says he's key. Harry Reid says he's key in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. In all the videos we played last hour, and that mix-up, mash-up that John Bound put out that was excellent, but we should add that to all these articles that just came out. People can see the facts. And then they've got the nerve to sit here and say they've never heard of him now. Far be it from me to lecture you on politics, Senator Edwards, Jonathan Gruber recalled saying, and then he just said that. He told Edwards that whether the merits of Emmanuel's idea, that's Ezekiel, it just would not be politically viable. Instead, Gruber argued for a more incremental approach, like the one in Massachusetts he helped write. Then it goes through it. How he was the top guy, how he was involved in '94 with the Clintons, how he's the top guy. Top guy, top guy. Now let's go to this clip of Stephen Ratner telling MSNBC that Gruber was, in fact, the, quote, guru in putting together the Affordable Rape the American People Greatest Con Game in History Act.
This is taken care of by the president, engaging in politics 101. He's a smart guy. We use him. He helped us do a lot of really good things, but he said some stupid things. Instead of Steve pretending like he didn't even know who he was.
Look, I think that's exactly the point. Jonathan Gruber was, back in the day, in 2009, the guru on health care. As you said, he designed the Massachusetts plan for Romney. I think if you go back and look at the Washington Post or the New York Times or anything from that period, you will find Jonathan Gruber's name all over it as both someone who's a leading expert on health care, quoted by everybody, as someone who the White House was using. I don't think we knew the dollar numbers that he was paid at the time, but he was certainly, I remember that when I was in the White House, he was certainly viewed as an important figure in helping to put Obamacare together. And so it's exactly what you said. The problem is not that Gruber helped them put Obamacare together, because he was the man. The problem is what he said in the last 2 weeks and how the White House has handled it.
Okay, so there you got it. Okay, he is the top architect. I'd been saying he's one of the top ones. I thought Ezekiel Emanuel was more high-powered, but they're saying he is the top guy. Now we have a clip of Obama saying he didn't know him. He's not even an aide, basically, even though he's in videos thanking him. But I want to show TV viewers this and then describe it for radio listeners. Here's a New York Times article out about the problems Al Sharpton's having with his finances. Who cares? But in it is a photo of Spike Lee in a photo line with Al Sharpton, the FBI rat. And if you can see in the photo, I don't know over the camera if you can pick it up, but the way I'm looking at it, the screen's brighter so you can see it. And he just has the look in his eye like he's seen God incarnate. He has a look in his eye like he is completely raptured in some type of narcissistic insanity. And so does Al Sharpton. I mean, I got to tell you, folks, I could care less about being in a photo line with the president. I could care less about hanging out with Hollywood stars. I guess because I've done it with Hollywood stars, hung out with them and everything. I just don't get how even well-known people just literally thought Obama was God and would save them. I mean, maybe Jamie Foxx really thinks Obama is the Lord and Savior when he's a Harvard con man. And so I have nothing against Obama himself, but when we shoot him down as a figurehead, we bring these people out of mind control. I mean, you ought to, if you're going to worship a person, and I'm not saying you should, worship your mama or your daddy or your grandma or somebody that stood up for you in your life or somebody that gave you a good job and mentored you. Those are the heroes out there, not Barack Obama, never did anything in his life, some Harvard slime bag. Barack Obama. I'm going to throw up. Okay, I'm sorry. I need to get to the calls. Matt in Oklahoma. So you say you were an Obama supporter, and you just want to know, why am I endorsing the Republicans? Well, I'm not endorsing Bush. I'm not endorsing Jeb Bush. I'm endorsing people I know that are principled like Rand Paul. Does that mean he's perfect? No. But clearly it's an expression of the deepness of the corruption in politics now that the Democratic Party has entered just an insane asylum level of corruption. Go ahead.
Right. I wasn't necessarily saying that you're endorsing the right over the left per se. It's just that whenever, if you use any ad hominem comments, quote unquote, obozo, libtard, those kinds of things, it drops your level of conversation down.
I totally agree, but listen, at a certain point, I just am sick of talking about them, but I have to fight them. And it's not true. He's not a bozo. He's a hardcore con artist. And liberals, libtard. I've been called a Paul bot or whatever. I mean, I get it. I get it. So I hear you. I should try to be more professional.
Well, it's just not that. I don't want to say that you're not professional. You got to be one of the top-notch guys out there. It's the only reliable news that we have on available to the public these days. But the two things that I wanted to bring up real fast was the two things that would basically fix the country. One is the Electoral College needs to go. We need to get rid of that because the president is not picked by the people. It's all a buddy-buddy system. I could go on for quite a while on that. And then we need internet voting. You could debate for quite a while on how to do it safely, but most people are really apathetic these days. And if you got so many people that can click the like button on stuff, if you could make it that easy to vote, people might actually turn out, unfortunately.
Look, I hear what you're saying, and I understand the Electoral College, I appreciate your call, can be gamed. Here's the problem. The original colonies didn't want one like New York or Massachusetts to be able to outvote one like Maine that had, I think it was like at the time of the ratification, maybe 7% of the population. So they could then vote to make them do whatever they wanted. So the senators were elected by the legislature, so they were creatures of the state, and the House members were popularly elected, but only apportioned for the populations, because New York didn't want to be dominated by a small state. See, it's all about balancing. And if you get rid of the Electoral College, California could bring in 100 million illegals and dominate the whole country and tell you what to do. So, I mean, really, the American people need to become virtuous and angry and get involved. That's what will change things. I appreciate your call. All right, we're going to come right back to Chuck and others straight ahead. And then Jay, stay with us. The truth is there's a bunch of foreign special interests that took over both parties. I don't care if it was Republican or Democrat party that had some insurrection in it. We've got to try to get some voice of the people back in there for general prosperity. If they cut taxes massively and cut off a lot of foreign corporate welfare and made big corporations send some of their tax money back here instead of being tax exempt, then you could take the load off little people and get the economy going. But they don't do that. And man, I got to tell you, I never expected Democrats to raise taxes on poor people like Obamacare did. I mean, Obamacare was so bad when I was reading it that I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's mean. I mean, the Democratic Party of John F. Kennedy was the opposite. The opposite of what the Democrats are today. And it had big problems. But, I mean, how'd they get unions to support NAFTA and GATT? How'd they get unions to support Obamacare that wrecks them? I mean, I'd be for unions 100 years ago against the Rockefellers as some check and balance. But now they've just turned into mafias where they take their people's money and then use it against them. Chuck in Michigan, you're on the air. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Hi, Alex?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you for taking my call. How are you?
I'm good. Are you really an Obama supporter?
In a certain way, yes, I am. I believe that he is a necessary part. I believe he's playing a necessary role in our country, just because I think he's going to teach us a valuable lesson that it's going to make us stronger in the end. I believe just like a hot burner on a stove, we're going to have to burn ourselves on him, and we will learn never to repeat socialist mistakes again in the future.
But will we repeat fascist activities of the Republicans? I mean, look, what do we do about the Republicans helping write the stinking thing? What are we going to do about Mitt Romney praising Gruber?
That's a major concern of mine as well. Just the fact that the Republicans voted to even fund it, I really did not support them ending the government shutdown. I thought they were going to carry it out longer, and I felt pretty let down. I mean, I voted straight Republican this election. I just kind of, for the first time in my life, went for the lesser of two evils. And
sure. And it's because they know we have nowhere to run. But this time, it is a major sea change if we keep pushing. If we move all our anger down to the Republican leadership and tell them, you're not movie stars, Mitch McConnell and Boehner. Stop playing golf with Obama. Repeal it now, scum. Indict Gruber. I mean, we need to start punishing criminals here.
I just don't know how to go about starting to do that myself.
I hear you. I hear you, brother. Good to hear from you. Jay is a Obama supporter. Let's see if he's for real or more satirical comments. Jay, we've had 2 real callers out of about 10 so-called Obama supporters. Are you the unicorn? Are you a real bona fide Obama supporter?
Well,
like I said, Alex, I've been on hold here for a minute. I've been listening to a lot of stuff you guys have been talking about. I'm just saying that I feel like Obama is getting a really hard rep on this right now because I looked at Kentucky, and Kentucky renewed their Medicaid and Medicare under their governor, and you have Nathan Deal in Georgia who did not renew it, and therefore costs have went up here. So why is Kentucky getting better savings under Obamacare than us? And why is Obama getting the blame for it when it was the governor's fault?
Well, that's how they spin it, saying governors didn't go along with it. It's because they can't fund an unfunded mandate. They're already maxed out. This bill was deceptive from the start, so they're trying to blame the states. It's not true. They're using more deception. Like I predicted the website wouldn't work on purpose so that they could keep denying and pushing it off in phases, and that's what they did. And they really use it for the Democrats to cull people's identities and to create a database of who doesn't have health care to fine you. You were reporting to the IRS, and now they admit that. And people ask, are you an insider? Do you work for them? How do you know all this? I know the MO of these criminals, man. I mean, I know how to go duck hunting. I've been duck hunting 20 times in my life. I'm not a master, but I know how to call ducks up. I know how to shoot them with a 10 gauge. I know how they frickin' know how to shoot them, man. I mean, I know how to mow the yard. I know how to, back before I was married, I know how to go pick up a lady. I mean, I know how con artists operate, and I knew what they were going to do. And so they did it. I know how their scams work, and I just want the public to get wise to this. You see what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying, and that very well might be true. Like I said, I've been doing some research, and I'm open-minded to hear what the truth is all about. But also, I think that it isn't just Obamacare that is going to be causing the trouble. This is a personal opinion. I might be wrong, but I believe that the Federal Reserve ultimately that is printing all this money, and we're about to be at 18, 19 trillion in debt.
Yeah, that's who runs it. I'm going to come back to you, and then we'll go to our reporters, then back to other calls. But yes, that's it. Don't forget, above the puppet sits the Federal Reserve. But, sir, when I'm going to ask you when we come back, what does Gruber mean to you saying he conned you? It's not the states. So the Washington Post said back in 2007 the Democratic Party's top advisor on government-run health care was Jonathan Gruber. And I know I keep obsessing on Gruber. It's because last Sunday, Monday, they took the video down, blocked it, said it didn't exist, said he was a nobody, and now we're just routing them. This is a type of story where people don't care about the open crime against them, even their own bank accounts being robbed, the death panels, the vets not being given treatment. But to see him snickering and giggling because he's MIT, ooh, Harvard, ooh. So when you lie to us and rape us financially and run a scam, it's trendy because you talk in a little trendy voice. That makes it okay? We're sick of you, and we want it repealed. And they're freaking out now. The Republicans are suddenly, we're not going to repeal it. Okay, we'll look at it. No, you will repeal it, Boehner. You will repeal it, McConnell. I'm sorry. You tell those foreign banks that gave billions and spent billions to state and the federal government to buy off this country that we're not for sale. I mean, you idiots really thought you could bring something in like this? Well, yeah, you want to have totally open borders now and give them all free health care. And Obama's going to rule by executive order. No, no, no. You will die politically, to quote Emperor Palpatine. I mean, people are sick of it. Jay in Georgia, then we're going to our reporters. We're in front of the Justice Center. That's what they call the county seat now. Not a courthouse, but a Justice Center. Let's go ahead and talk to Jay, who wanted to finish up his point. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, what I was saying is that there is bigger men behind this curtain altogether. I mean, I don't know who's to blame. I feel like everybody's passing blame around like it's hot potato and it's just a big distraction. Ultimately, I'm just saying I don't think Obama is the main blame. I think there's a lot of hands in this pot, and to put it all on just Obama, I think you're going to miss other people that are also bringing this
like the Federal Reserve. Well, I agree with you, but listen, He's the figurehead, so you have to bring him down. Well, listen, do you want to get rid of it, or do you think it's still a wonderful deal?
Well, look, ultimately, I haven't read the thing, and I think there's a lot of things that are wrong about it. But what about pre-existing conditions?
Well, Obamacare doesn't cover that. Said clearly in the bill it doesn't cover kids. It's all lies. I mean, do you think, let me ask you a question. Do you think insurance companies run by big foreign mega banks, the very same banks that funded both sides of World War II and World War I and the Napoleonic Wars, the most cutthroat families in the world, do you think they want to take control of our health care because they care about you, buddy?
Well, no, I know a lot of these people are members of the Council on Foreign Relations. It's a secret organization. I have no clue about it.
Brother, they admit it's a screw job. So we say there's a lot of blame to go around. This is what I always hear from people that have been screwed over, and that's why they keep coming to screw you over, is because you can't admit you've been cheated. I appreciate your call. Were there problems with our healthcare system? Yes, because government involvement. We had, hands down, 30, 40 years ago, the best healthcare system in the world. The British royalty came here, Dutch royalty, Japanese royalty came here to get healthcare. They don't come here now. Our healthcare's falling apart. My family is in medical management. I interview all the top experts on air. Brain surgeons, scientists. I mean, I know what I'm talking about, okay? But they always put into a process. Oh, there's secret death lists all over the country to not give care to veterans. And it turns out, oh, we're investigating the mistake. Oh, there's not lists. Oh, yeah, there are. We're not teaching fifth graders in Illinois how to have anal sex. That was an accident, and they find it at all the schools. They're doing it. They play the, oh, we're not giving kids inoculations. Really, we caught you. I mean, it was an accident. You really think the nurses are lining kids up, giving them shots, a violation of law without the government saying do it? It's government and corporations doing whatever they want. We're not going to arrest illegals. We're going to arrest citizens for no reason. We're seen as chumps. Because you watch television, everybody is in this arrested development where they all act like kids. Everybody's just happy, la, 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 like a bunch of lobotomized Teletubbies, and that's not how reality works. Anytime you create a big, giant central government and give it a bunch of power, you just built the instrument of your destruction. That's history. We live 75 years on average. We go through the same cycles. We behave the same. I don't care we got spaceships. We act the same. And we are in deep, deep, deep Obama. And that's not an ad hominem attack. It's a joke. Let's go to our reporters and then to the callers. Jakari Jackson and Joe Biggs join us. I guess Jakari's on the line first. Oh, Joe Biggs is on first. Thank you. Joe Biggs in front of the courthouse there outside Ferguson. He's at the county seat. What's the new intel you've got there during the Arctic Al Gore warming extravaganza on the verdict there in Missouri?
It's quite shocking. I expected global warming to be a lot warmer. It's 18 degrees, but I guess that's another subject.
Well, if you paid Al Gore more carbon tax money and the Rothschilds more money on their exchange, then we'd be better off, you racist.
Well, yeah, we're standing right outside of the what they call the Justice Center, and we have CBS News, Fox News right over here. Everyone's still awaiting a word to find out when the verdict's going to come out. I have someone on the inside who's going to shoot me a text when that comes, when that information's put out.
Well done.
I do have some other big information though as well. I just got the location of the command center where the military and DHS is. So after we get off here, we're going to go out there and investigate that, get footage, and shoot a report. I've already seen some footage from a local. He sent me a little bit, and it looks legit. It's pretty big. So we're going to go out there and do a report on that. But those guys look like they're well stocked up and ready. But, you know, one of the funny things is, you know, I sat down and had some lunch a little bit ago, and the restaurant had Fox News on, and it's showing all these pictures of stuff in August where everyone's out in the street, and it makes it look, they're portraying like there's this huge war. There's like constant chaos going on in the St. Louis surrounding areas, Ferguson, Clayton, all these areas. And right now it's so cold, no one's out. You know, yesterday there was maybe a 20-minute protest, and the headline was "Protesters Storm Courthouse." We were out there. There's no protesters stormed any courthouse whatsoever. So it seems like the government wants chaos. They want blood. They want riots. The mainstream media is feeding that fear. They want complete and total collapse. So then again, they can instate their martial law, bring in the National Guard, and have, people, soldiers with weapons, cops everywhere in riot gear walking up and down the streets once again.
Elaborate on any intel you're getting. I mean, still no word on when they're going to either indict or not indict the police officer?
Not yet. I mean, at any point, I mean, it would make sense to do it now when it's freezing cold. I mean, anybody you see walking down the street, they're going from their car and they're running indoors as fast as possible because it is not a pleasant, it's not pleasant to be outside whatsoever. So, I mean, now you would think would be the time to release that information, go ahead and let it get out there and let people eventually just calm down. Instead, they're going to wait. It's going to warm up, and it's going to turn into August all over again.
That's right. I would announce it at like 5 in the morning so that the word goes out. The gangbangers and people are asleep till later in the day. Regular, hardworking folks aren't going to, go out and tear anything up. They're going to go out and demonstrate. Great, that's their right. We support it. And, that's their right to do that. A lot of folks fought for that right. It's a God-given right, not from the state. And then you'd have all day to see if anything formed to be able to deal with any violence. Instead, I got a feeling they'll announce it some night at about 7, right at dark. Because the whole way they've been running this is to try to get it going.
Well, once we see what this command center's up to, we'll know if they're mobilizing and getting ready to push into this area or not. Because I think that's what the governor's waiting on for their, strategic placement of these guys. So when they do announce it and they do put it out, they've got their, their pawns in position for ultimately what we think will happen will be complete and total utter chaos happening out here in the streets. But it's so cold right now, you're not going to have a lot of people running up down the road protesting for longer than 30 minutes. I mean, it's pretty frigid.
Well, expanding on that, Homeland Security, CNN now reported on what we covered back on Sunday with you guys live on air. And that's that this fella shot video of the DHS vehicles and photos, put it up on the internet, and they got him fired. So be careful when you go videotape the command base. But I would just be out in the open, because I've noticed if you sneak around and they think that means you're bad. What are you planning when you go to this federal command base? Because, I mean, I want to be here, obviously, by the phone or by the Skype with you guys feeding us a live Skype feed in case they try something with you.
Yeah, it's where we're at now in Clayton. I just looked it up on the maps. It's about a 20-minute drive south of where we're at now. It's behind a gas station in what looks like a pretty open area. So I was thinking about setting up in the field across the street at first just to get some footage and then pushing a little bit closer and then see if I can get some up-close stuff. I'm pretty sure the way they're acting, like with the DHS, how they, got that guy fired, someone's going to come up and approach us. And that's fine. I mean,
well, that's huge news if they try to stop you doing what you're supposed to do.
Well, they're not going. I mean, they can try, but I know my rights. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to film because that's my God-given right.
That's right. Once you get there, Joe Biggs and Jakari Jackson, call Rob Duke, call the office, even though we won't be live or on the air until night at 7 o'clock Central with the nightly news. But let's have you Skype back live to us so we can capture that in case they try something. And okay. Because, I mean, you already had one cop run up and say, I'll effing kill you with a shotgun for no reason. By the way, he was suspended. Did we ever find out what happened to him?
I haven't heard anything new from what you just said as well. So I'm not sure. I can find that out here pretty soon, though. I know a lot of the people are starting to show up that were here back in August. I know some of them have kept in touch with that, so I can find that out pretty quickly.
All right, well, just take a moment. Let's get Jakari in front of the camera, and then I want to get his take on anything. Joe, thank you so much. That's Joe Biggs. Thank you, up there reporting. And they're going to be there live when the verdict comes out. And so even if we're not live on the air or on the nightly news at the time, there will be a live feed. They'll call Kit Daniels or Adon Salazar or Kurt Nimmo or Mikhail Thalen or Anthony Gucciardi, any of the writers, and we will have that live Ustream feed up for you so you can see what's happening there on the ground at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. And if we find out the verdict's happening and there are riots or any issues, we will expand InfoWars Nightly News tonight, and I'll even come back. and do live coverage, because this could spread around the country. I hope the cold weather keeps it from getting violent, but the way the media has hyped it, it's almost like they're trying to put the idea in people's minds. Jakari, what do you think about the situation?
I have to echo what Joe says. You know, maybe get out here and check out this command center they have posted up a little bit south of here. But like you said, for the time we're out here from the Justice Center, this is where we saw our protests and our rallies yesterday. It's been pretty cold. Not a whole lot of people frequenting the area, just the normal business people that live and work in this area. But yes, we do see a huge buildup. Governor Nixon has said that he's ready to mobilize the National Guard. So I would expect that they are planning to announce the verdict here pretty soon. What's going to happen after that? You know, this would be the best time to announce it as far as I'm concerned, if they don't want a lot of people in the streets. You know, it's ungodly cold out here. It's going to warm up a little bit later this week. I think tomorrow's supposed to get around 50 or so. But at the moment, it's about 18, 17 degrees. So if they want to do it, this would be the ideal time to minimize the people in the streets.
I think from a lot of different angles, the feds are trying to provocateur a big event to get more funding and federalize things more. The fact that they haven't announced the verdict yet when it's cold and should. If they announce it at night, I find that very, very suspicious. What's your gut on what's overall happening? I mean, who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? In your heart, Jakari, what do you think's really going on here?
Well, I do agree that, you know, they would like to see a huge spectacle of force, you know, need to come out here in the big MRAPs and all that stuff. You know, it's not really justifiable to come out with all the big, heavy armor and the military
Just
vehicles.
like we saw in Boston, for one fugitive, a total power grab.
Yeah, you know, you have one guy who's running around hiding in somebody's boat. So, you know, they need SWAT teams going door to door, drawing people out. And they say, well, we didn't force anybody out. You just stuck a gun in their face and asked them to please leave their premises. Yeah, I'm sure most people would walk out of the house and under those circumstances. So, yeah, I think if they wanted to minimize the damage or potential damage, they would release it now. But, you know, if it gets warmer outside, you'll have more people out in the streets. But what I think is going to happen, the reasoning behind this, you know, when we were here originally back in August, we were talking to some of the people, even a local minister, and she said to me and Big, she's like, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I think they're out here letting some people loot and everything, because you guys remember the command base we showed you last time that was at a shopping center that was right down the street from where all the chaos happened, where they burned down the gas station and all that. And, you know, these guys were pretty much, you know, sitting on their hands as some of the more lucid things were going on in the area. But when you have peaceful people, a largely peaceful crowd, then they come out with the MRAPs aiming guns at people in the crowd. And, you know, you aim a gun at anybody, it's going to get them fired up. So then, you know, you have more people come out, and some people are more prepared to do more radical actions than just, you know, stand there and peacefully protest. But,
and then they lied, Jakari, and said that they weren't shooting tear gas at you, even though you picked up a canister, and even though Joe, I mean, you guys showed rubber bullets all over the ground. Joe got hit by them. I mean, it's just the level of lying is the problem.
The level of lying, my favorite one, besides the tear gas and even the rubber bullets, you know, we reported day one on that Tuesday that they had pretty much installed a curfew. And then the next day, the police chief, I believe it was Jackson, he comes out. He's like, there's no curfew. We're just, you know, showing up at 6 p.m., aiming guns at people and then threatening to arrest them if they don't get off the street. But that's not a curfew. I guess that doesn't constitute a curfew.
Even though they had publicly announced it. Again, it's the lying by government discredits police when at first we were kind of like, yeah, these looters are bad. Looks like the police are trying to maintain order. The first few days, we weren't being negative to the police because they were doing a pretty good job. Then they started attacking reporters and leaving looters alone. Just very, very sad. Jakari Jackson, we will continue to watch and listen to your coverage and the special reports. You're also filing an HD to prisonplanet.tv. Thank you so much, Jakari Jackson.
Thank you, Alex.
We'll come back and take a few final calls, but again, that's the reason to become a prisonplanet.tv or InfoWarsNews.com member. You can go there, sign up in about 1 minute with a credit card or debit card. You can also call the toll-free number. We can sign you up, give you a username and passcode over the phone, 888-253-3139. 20 people now. We have the bandwidth. We can do it. Like the Bionic Man, we can rebuild him stronger, faster, better. You can go there and get a membership that 20 people can use to be part of true grassroots media and watch these live transmissions. prisonplanet.tv. Before we go any further, again, we're going to sell out of Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. We are going to sell out of the B12, unfortunately, very, very quickly. We had another shipment of it that came in because they'd overproduced. They do an overage, but that is going to sell out within a matter of days. DNA Force, all of it. And when it's sold out, who knows how long it'll take. It could take up to 6 weeks. I hope that's not the case. DNA Force took 16 weeks. OxyPower, 6-7 weeks. We've got more of the Oxy powder in, discounted with promo code NOW. 5% off stuff that's already discounted. OxyPower's back in. Silver Bullet's back in next week. InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. Give family a bottle of the special B12. Give family a bottle of the X2. Lung Cleanse. The stuff's so good that they'll be, wow, I want more of that. And you can help them get healthy and support this transmission. I want to thank you all for your support. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139. Let's go ahead and talk to Michael in Florida. You're on the air. I know you've been holding to talk to Dent, but I had to finish up with the other people. Go ahead.
It's all right, Alex. What I wanted to see you do is actually make a film called Living the Contradiction, instead of Living the Dream. Because a lot of these politicians, they kind of contradict what they're doing. And my question for Dent was, where do you think this country's money is going after the holidays? Because I think just like the tradition of the last couple presidents, they had several different crises going out of office. So I think the money's, getting spent on different things like that. But that's pretty much my question.
Oh, that's a great question. I wish we had him here to get his take. I think they'll start more wars. I think they'll pull some more crises, maybe a false flag terror attack. What do you think they're going to pull, the Republicans and Democrats, to divert us?
I think there's going to be something big with race. A lot of the racial tension in this country, I think they're trying to build off that as a distraction, so people won't realize the big elephant in the room, which is still the high gas prices. I mean, it only comes down in certain places. The food that's going to be out of reach, what they're gearing up for is really something big. And I agree. I really want to hear from somebody who's been dealing with this like political funk for the last couple of years, because Clinton, going out of office, he passed a law that you couldn't be a group if you're not sanctioned by the government, or you couldn't be a militia, or they'll try to find reasons to deem you as terrorists and different things like that.
That's right. You're the best caller of the day. We're going to go in a little bit overdrive, take a few more, but Michael, please call back again. You're absolutely on target. All they've got is racial division and other garbage to distract us. Remember, the Republican leadership helped write Obamacare. Romney endorsed Gruber. That's why we're in so much trouble. Stay with us. Everybody's sick of me saying,
receiving this transmission,
literally,
you are the resistance.
Well, Time Magazine has people tweeting what words they want banned, which is just an attempt to discuss banning things, and literally is one of the top ones. I am literally trying to stop using the word literally. And I catch myself literally realizing that I'm actually using the word actually and literally too much. I get it. But instead of going, I say literally. Or I say literally when I want to say that I'm not exaggerating or this isn't a figure of speech. Okay, let's go ahead and go to a few more calls. I'm literally going to them now. Bill in Texas, you're on the air. Go ahead.
What's up there, Alex?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good, and I want to thank you for saving my life, Alex. Your products have really returned my health to me, and I want to thank you for my health back.
Well, God bless you, sir. What'd they do? I mean, what products were those?
Well, I was taking some mental health medication that I probably should never have taken in my life because I was under attack, just like people across this country are under attack. And they were not reporting my blood work. And so I had, like, pustules under my arms. Ugh. My kidneys were hurting bad. I've been to the hospital for a whole year with backaches and pains. And my sides were distended. So I quit taking the medication. I went to homeopathic remedies.
Good job.
Do the same. And I started taking your products. and I was able to clean it out. The inflammation went down in my kidneys. I'm able to urinate now better.
Awesome.
My health has returned. I've lost some weight. The sores are all gone. My mind is clearer. And it's thanks to your products. And really, we're under attack out here.
Oh, we are. I mean, look, if you don't have iodine, you die. You don't have B12, you die. And then you go into the doctor, and they won't tell you that. I have a medical doctor that actually took my blood and said what I needed years ago, and I'm working with them to get the key things I need. But the good news is more and more medical doctors are clicking, so it's good news.
Yeah, we've got domino effect happening. You know, the dominoes are rolling down right now. We've got the secret army over there pretending to be crazy Muslims and chopping off heads, and half of them aren't even from that country.
Oh, yeah.
So it looks like this is mercenaries that have been hired and who printed up all that wonderful stuff for them to wear. And so they're over there creating a distraction. Our Army boys are getting their legs and arms blown off so that we can further, do our science work on how we're going to one day repair legs and stuff. But they're being blown up while the other guys are loading drugs onto the aircraft for our wonderful African Americans up there in Ferguson after they go through their traumatic, distressing attack that may happen. And I think that this attack is like Kent State. You know, you go and you shoot these young hippies, and what happens? You increase drug abuse in that area. You increase depression. You increase the need for psychological, help, and that's dependence. You create dependence through terror. And that's what we have up there. We have psychological terror going on.
I agree, and even the average compartmentalized cop is not aware of it. You're awesome, sir. So many great callers. We don't have great callers all day, but great callers here at the end. I wish I could keep going because I want to talk to Barbara and everybody else. Briefly, the New York Times says questions about Sharpton's finances accompany his rise in influence. Another FBI guy, and it turns out he basically doesn't pay taxes. Now, they may burn Sharpton now because he's no longer useful because Obama's going out. See, but no, go after Google, go after Microsoft, go after General Electric where they don't pay taxes. And I'm not defending Sharpton, but see how they'll burn their people when they're done with them. Man, I tell you, I wouldn't want to be with the New World Order. Barbara, Daniel, Bob, and Rick, I'm sorry I'm out of time. I got a long way to go in a short time to get there. A lot of work to do, a lot getting ready for coverage tonight of whatever happens in Ferguson today or tomorrow. We're going to be here covering it. I'm Alex Jones, your host, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv. I want to thank our sponsors, our affiliates, you, the listeners, the good Lord, everybody else. Let's pray for peace in Ferguson and other areas because it's the First Amendment under attack, and they want to just play everybody off against each other. We need to come together and say no to looting and also no to police brutality.